And there's a drive. Deep right field. It is gone! The hit that makes history is a two-run home run.
What's going on, Vinny? It's Monday,
Yo.
April 14th. Jackie Robinson Day tomorrow.
Happy Monday. That's right. I got the Jackie Robinson Day cap on today for it. So we're a day away from everyone rocking the 42 jerseys, which is one of the cooler traditions MLB does. Love that. April 14th, though, I'm going to throw it back again for us. It seems like a lot of the times that we've been doing our episodes, there's a new team that's been introduced on these days. So back April 14th, 1969, the Expos host their first game in Canada. Did you have that one?
Yeah, I did, but it's all good.
Well, do you have the information that went with it? Do you want to read off the stats you have from that game? I saw you smile. I figured we both had the same one. Maybe we should have discussed that.
No, it's good. I don't really have the stats. I just have that they hosted their first game in Montreal in 1969 this day, but it was the first game to ever be played outside of the U.S.
Yep.
MLB
and it was
game.
the game took place at Jerry Park, and the actual stats of the game is Montreal wins the game 8-7 over the St. Louis Cardinals. So that's kind of cool that the Cardinals were part of that. But Mac Jones of the Expos goes yard for 3 RBIs and picks up a triple and another at bat. His 3-run blast is also the first home run hit outside of the MLB, outside of the United States. So that's kind of cool. Mac Jones is the first player outside of the U.S. to do that. So since we have the same one, should we hop on that fantasy recap, see how we did for this past week?
Yeah, sounds good. I just wanted to actually give out a couple happy birthday shout-outs, though, first on this day. We got Greg Maddux, Hall of Famer, David Justice, Brad Ausmus, bodybuilder Kyle Farnsworth, and then Greg Zahn. So happy birthday to some of those guys.
Heck yeah. The fantasy recap isn't working out too well for me. It's not very exciting on my part again. I got absolutely destroyed. The only category I was able to win in, which wasn't by much, was I had 6 saves. Another week for me with no holds. I have yet to get a hold this season, and I have even an extra relief pitcher in there. So I'm gonna have to do something about my relief pitching. I feel like they're good, but they're just not getting it done. Camilo Duvall, I've been using him kind of weird this year. I'm not really sure his whole situation, but he hasn't done anything for me. Even my offense, Yanier Diaz ended up having one good game. Other than that, that was it. Kyron Parrish still showing his stuff. Josh Young came back, and he actually was my probably my most consistent player this week. He was able to he had multiple 2-hit and 3-hit games, and he was able to go yard. He even stole a base. So I picked him up off the waivers, which was so far been working out for me because I have Vientos, who has not done anything for me. And Cam Smith, who actually did have a pretty good week for me. I'm hoping that he's kind of snapping out of his slow start and starting to show his true stuff. But he also just got outfield eligibility. So Cam Smith and Josh Young were really my only 2 bats this week. My offense was horrible. And then Chris Bubich actually had another good week for me again, along with Michael King. Michael King went 9 innings yesterday, and Bubich got me another quality start. So everybody else got pretty rocked up. Dylan Cease, not a good start for him. Logan Webb didn't have a great start. Severino is actually not bad, but how he could be. But I do get Strider back this week, so that is very big for my team, and I think all of baseball is looking forward to that.
For sure. All right. So,
How about you?
So this week for me in fantasy, I did a lot better than last week. I ended up tying this week, which I was facing our reigning champion. I think he's actually won the last 2 championships, hasn't he?
Yep, back to back, two-peat. I think he's actually had a 3 in total in his time in this league, which is really good. But yeah, he just went back to back. His team was pretty nutty last year, and it's not far off of it. It's pretty similar this year. He did lose a couple people and has some additional players, but yeah, he's got a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah. So my team actually, facing the former reigning champ, actually did really well. You're not going to hear this too often, but I actually was the home run champion in our league last week. I had 11 home runs.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's good.
about
Heck yeah.
close to half those came from Jung Hoo Lee. So that's best accidental waiver pickup, in my opinion. My pitching wasn't horrible. I had a few rocky starts. My ERA was
Yeah, he's looking excellent.
3.34. My WHIP was 1.24. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. I did end up taking saves, but that was the only pitching category. But I took 5 of the hitting categories, so pretty nice week. James Wood also had a really good week for me. A trade that I made also this week I find it a pretty even trade. I acquired Paul Goldschmidt, Christian Yelich, and Brandon Fod, uh, Arizona Diamondbacks pitcher. I trade away Jazz Chisholm, Johan Duran, and Matt Shaw. So I think I kind of won that trade a bit. It really just depends on how healthy and consistent Goldie and Yelich are. So Yelich is off to a slow start. I'm kind of hoping he kind of snaps out of it. Goldie's been really good so far, so I'm hoping that kind of fills my needs as far as hitting goes. And then I got a good starting pitcher. So overall, I'll take it, a tie. So I've had kind of a rough schedule
Yeah,
playing against the 3 best offenses in our league, arguably. So I'm happy with it.
yeah. If you can keep it close with Sam's team, who you just faced, that's all you can hope for. Yeah, he's got some pitching issues, I think, but he just lost Steele, which we'll probably mention in the injuries, but yeah, his team's nutty.
Yeah, his pitching actually.
Speaking of trades, I'll go ahead and throw in there. I don't know if you've. Yeah. But speaking of trades, I don't know if you're able to see the Dodgers and White Sox have been talking about a trade that would send Luis Robert to Los Angeles in exchange for James Outman and a frontline prospect. Thoughts on that? I'm not really a James Outman guy, and Luis Robert obviously has his own issues, but he's in Chicago at the White Sox. So how much of the real James or Luis Robert are we seeing, and did the Dodgers really need this guy?
They definitely don't need this guy, but if they do, Luis Roberts gone off to a pretty slow start this season. As far as that trade offer, honestly, kind of sounds about right. James Outman, a frontline prospect. Now, in the offseason, if you guys remember, the Reds were trying to make a trade for Luis Robert, but apparently the price was too high. So, I mean, the Dodgers are one of those teams that they have the prospects to trade. So if they really want Luis Robert, they're going to get him. So I think it comes down to who that prospect is going to be, who they want.
Right. And it's like, they have Dalton Rushing over there, which is the first person that comes to my mind. But if you think about it, the White Sox, I'm here in Charlotte, so I get to see the Knights play. They already have 2 really big name catchers, Kyle Teal and Edgar Cuero. So it's like, dude, and they have a pretty decent catcher up there right now, Corey Lee. Unless they were trying to maybe reposition Dalton Rushing, I don't know if he plays first or outfield. I mean, that would make it a little bit more doable. But again, I'm not really a James Outman guy, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Who I would actually try to go after is your guy, and I'll go ahead and bring him up real quick because he's been going off, and it's Hee-Sung Kim. And he's, I guess, positioned as a second base down there. He was signed this past season, but he has been off to a hot start. He's actually showing a lot of signs of power, but he's down there at AAA for the Dodgers. He's had 62 at bats so far, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs, 5 walks, 17 Ks, 4 stolen bases, but he's hitting 290 with a 362 OBP, and he's slugging 581 with a 943 OPS. So I'm thinking that we see Kim up here before too long, it's looking like.
Yeah. And then, with Kim having second, I picked him up in our fantasy league for everyone out there because I was kind of paying attention to him a little bit. And he's got that second base eligibility, which is kind of where I was lacking a little bit.
Good pick.
I did pick up Jorge Polanco, which has been really good so far this season for second base. As far as Kim goes, I kind of wonder if the Dodgers might wait on this potential trade because Hee-Sung Kim, even though he's a second baseman, if they can maybe if he can get some outfield time in there, they might not need to trade for Luis Robert and still keep, even though they don't really have a ton of room, they could probably still keep Outman or maybe in a different trade or who knows, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. But I do think he'll be up before too long, and he would be pretty good in a Luis Robert trade. But I don't know. He could come up, and I don't know if he'll stay at second base. But sometimes Dodgers will make him play another position. Maybe he's a utility player, like a Tommy Edman or. But again, expect to see them make a World Series run. With ease. And speaking of World Series, last year's one of their players, the Yankees, was notified recently that he would be the captain of Team USA 2026 World Baseball Classic, and that's Mr. Aaron Judge. Mark DeRosa announced that, and there was a quote from Mike Trout, and he said he's the one, talking about Aaron Judge. I think Aaron Judge makes a pretty good Team USA captain. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I saw Mike Trout's comment, and I mean, outside of Ohtani, I would say outside of Ohtani and Witt, he's probably the best player in the game. So, I believe Witt's probably going to be on that team again, I would imagine.
Agreed.
But, Yankees captain, I think he makes the perfect captain. So,
yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and do our breakout players. What do you say?
Let's do it. Do you want to go first, or
you want to start us off on that?
Yeah, sorry, a little bit of lag.
There you go.
So, first up,
as always, it's all me. I'm out here in the boonies.
Yeah, it's first player. We got position player and pitcher. My position player is going to be Jung Hoo Lee. Fantasy team. He actually went off this weekend against the Yankees, but he still had a good week in general. He had in 22 at bats. He had 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. Batting 364 with the 462 OBP. So crazy week for Lee. And if he stays healthy, he was out for most of the season last year. So I'm hoping to get a full season out of him because he's looking really good. And for my pitcher, it was hard to go. There was a couple other ways I could have went with this, but it was hard not to go Hunter Greene. Almost 16 innings pitched. He had 2 wins, 2 quality starts, 15 Ks. He allowed no runs. Had a 0.51 whip, giving up only 6 hits and 2 walks in those 2 starts. So, you can't really ask for much more.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Those guys went off, and I really expect them to stay like that all season. Obviously, health always being a concern. Kind kind of with either player, I would say. Not really. I mean, Jung Hoo Lee's been hurt already a couple times, and he hasn't really got his playing time. But I think he'll be a 300 hitter, no doubt. And he's got a super high walk rate, which is even better. Super high or super low strikeout rate. So, those are two excellent players. I knew that you were going with Jung Hoo Lee, or else I would have. But I ended up going with a guy that doesn't get too much attention. I noticed him a little bit coming up with the Cubs last year, and I picked him up actually in fantasy because his minor league numbers are very impressive, I thought. But Matt Mervis of the Miami Marlins, he's a DH. I think he plays some first base sometimes too. But he had an excellent week. He went 5 for 14 with 3 home runs, and 7 RBIs. I was looking at his baseball savants metrics, and they're looking excellent. I think he's really seen the ball well, and he's making that Miami Marlins team a little bit interesting, I think. But great week for him. He's hitting 294 right now with 5 home runs total, and he's got a 1 OPS. So his career stats aren't that impressive, but he only has 150 at bats total. So whole playing season of Matt Mervis, he might be somebody to look out to for fantasy. My pitcher, up there in the races with went a Cy Young with your guy Hunter Greene, but I went with Cole Ragans. He had 2 starts this past week. On the 8th, he faced off Minnesota. He went 6 innings with 4 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, and 11 Ks. And then on the 13th, he faced off against Cleveland. He went 7 2/3 with 4 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, and 10 Ks. So no walks over those 2 games. 21 strikeouts, only 2 earned runs, and he's got a 2.24 ERA with the 0. All right, a little bit of lag never hurt anybody. But anyways, Cole Ragans is looking excellent in my opinion. He may be the strikeout leader this year if he keeps this up. Even the game before this, he had another 10 Ks or 11 Ks. So he's averaging close to like 10 Ks a game right now. So absolutely filthy. And also, I'll go ahead and say the MLB's player of the week. So I'll throw them out there. William Contreras, he went 9 for 23 with 3 home runs and 10 RBIs. And then he was the NL player, and the AL player was Ty France, who you like to see him having a good start to the season and helping out those Twins a little bit because they do need it. But he went 11 for 25 with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs. So nice little games there for both of them. And the MLB's AL and NL player of the week. All right, what else do you have for us, Luke?
So before we get into our series of the week, I thought we'd just hit on our injuries real quick. If you got any that I don't have, feel free to mention them. The biggest one being, unfortunately, Justin Steele out for the season. It's that's a real bummer for not just Cubs fans, fantasy owners. He's a really good pitcher. I was looking forward to seeing more of him this season, so that really sucks. And then next up, the Diamondbacks lose a couple of their bullpen pieces on the 15-day IL. Kevin Ginkel, Kendall Graveman, with Kevin Ginkel the shoulder and Kendall Graveman with a back issue. So 15-day IL for them. Ben Joyce, 15-day IL with the shoulder issue. Mason Wynn to the 10-day IL with back spasms. Brandon Woodruff back on the 15-day IL after his first start, shoulder issue. So, hate injuries.
Yep. They're going to happen, though, unfortunately. Yeah, the Justin Steele one's a bummer. But I'll go ahead, since we're talking about Justin Steele. My series of the week is the Cubs and the Padres. I think that's going to be a great one. Cubs are at 11-7, Padres are at 13-3. Yeah, and it's gonna be a good series. I think they're out in San Diego. Hopefully, some good weather. But Jamison Tyon's gonna face off Dylan Cease on the first day. I haven't looked at the other matchups actually, but I think I'm a big Dylan Cease fan, so I'm really hoping he bounces back from his last start. But he does have a tough challenge. Imanaga is going to be doing the second game against Vasquez, so good chance for Imanaga to get comfortable and get another start in. And then the last game of the series, it's going to be Boyd, who's been having a really great season so far, and he's going to be taking on Nick Pivetta, who's also been having a great series or a great start to the year. So I think that the Boyd and Pivetta is probably going to be the best matchup. But I do like, of course, the Cease matchup happening tonight. So Cubs, Padres, tune in.
For sure, I'm excited for that one. For mine, I got the Tigers and Brewers in Milwaukee. So the Tigers 9-6, Brewers 8-8. We got some good pitching matchups, in my opinion, starting tonight and then tomorrow and Wednesday. Tonight we got Tarek Skubal going against Tyler Alexander. Tomorrow we got Jack Flaherty going against newly acquired from the Red Sox Quinn Priester. And then Wednesday, Reese Olson going up against Jose Quintana. So that all three of those would be pretty decent matchups. The Brewers are 6-4 in their last 10 games, and Tigers are 7-3 in their last 10. So a couple of pretty hot teams going at it. So Tigers being a first place team, Brewers, I believe, second place right now. So looking forward to this series.
Heck yeah. I'll be watching that one here soon.
Yeah, same.
All right, Luke, let's hear that.
Yes, the crazy MLB stat. So I'm curious, do you know how many players throughout history have hit a home run in their first career at bat? Do you have any kind of maybe a guess on that?
I'm going to guess a pretty low number, maybe like 13.
So actually, in their first career at bat, 136 guys throughout history have hit a home run in their first at bat. Out of those 136, do you know how many have hit a grand slam in their first at bat?
Oof. Do you hear me?
Yep. No, I didn't catch that.
I said 13.
Oh, 13. Sort of close. Only 4 players have hit a grand slam in their first major league at bat. And the one I'm going to briefly talk about came back in 2005, the Florida Marlins against the St. Louis Cardinals. Jeremy Ermita is the only player in Major League history to hit a grand slam in their first at bat as a pinch hitter.
Okay. That's cool. Hey, say that last part again. Hit a grand slam, what?
So, yeah, Ermita's the first guy. Yeah, I know. It sucks. He's the first one to hit a grand slam in their first major league at bat as a pinch hitter.
Oh, he's a pinch hitter. Okay. Heck yeah.
So,
That's dope.
yep.
Sweet. Well, I think it's gonna wrap it up. We're gonna hop off here because we're having super bad connection issues, and we'll be
There's baseball on.
we'll be back here before you know it.
Yep. 643 talk.
Yep.
Luke, Vinny, peace out. See you on the next one.